Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So, yesterday I came in here and had a couple of failed attempts at a part that I was trying to make for the Mark IV. And what I was working on is a new access panel for the fuel cell. So right here, you can see the fuel sending unit, and this hole initially was for the fuel fill that was down on the top of the tank. Well, since I changed all of this over to having the fill be in the factory location, and I have a sending unit here now, I can't easily get my hand inside of here to reach the fuel return and the vent that are kind of up in this area over here. And I guess I could do it if I pulled the sending unit out, but that seems like kind of a pain to every time that I would need to disconnect those lines, albeit those instances are hopefully few and far between. Having to pull the sending unit and potentially ruin the seal and everything else, it isn't the most ideal way to do it. So the best solution is to increase the size of this hole rather than just having this area here, to actually enlarge that hole and make things a little bit easier for me to get my hand in there to tighten and or loosen those lines. So I tried to do this twice yesterday and had part of a video filmed, and then realized that what I was doing was kind of screwed up. And we have Mark I right here, which I couldn't get the corners right, whether it be not being able to do the geometry right or just me being stupid. We have Mark II, which was getting a little bit more in line of what I was looking for, but these pieces of angle here were too thin and everything just wasn't working right. So now we're on to the third iteration, the third rendition of trying to make this simple cover. So I went yesterday and I got a little bit thicker angle. So this is just from Home Depot, some simple aluminum channel, and you can see that 3/4 inch legs on each side, 3 feet overall, and it's right around 1/8 of an inch thick. So this should be a lot nicer, it should be much nicer rather, to work with and to weld than the really thin stuff I was working with yesterday. So I have my vertical bandsaw over here already, so let me go ahead and start drafting out the sizes and everything that this needs to be, and then before long we can get cutting, and hopefully third time's a charm and we don't have to work on this for a fourth iteration. Well, the little access panel deal is all welded and put in place here, just roughly mocked up. So the next thing to do will be to drill all of the holes so I can actually put the rib nuts in to fasten it down. I guess before I do that even, I need to come in here and cut this outline out. So we'll be going from this small square right here to this larger one, and that should give me plenty of room to fit my hand in there to get to the fuel lines and to work on everything in a much easier fashion. So I think I'm going to try to do this with my little body saw, and if that doesn't work, then it will be some sort of abrasive cutting time. But let me get the air hose drug over here and start cutting, and hopefully this goes pretty smooth and pretty seamlessly. There we go. I have a nice little new cover in place, and I'm missing a couple of riv nuts. I just frankly ran out of them, but minus 1, 2, 3, 4. This thing is all fastened in place, and I have some vibrations right now just because there's tools sitting on the sheet metal, but by the time that this is actually fastened down, has some foam underneath of it, everything will be good. I won't get any fumes in the cabin any longer, and most importantly, I'll have easy access to get to those top couple of fuel lines. So now that I have room to work here, I'll need to make an extended line for the vent, which that I think I have room. Can probably run it somewhere, maybe up along the fill neck or just somewhere out of the way, so that way I don't have to worry about it overflowing, or when I fill the tank up, actually, it overflowing or having fumes underneath the car or anything like that. If I put a nice remote vent with a filter or something like that on it, somewhere higher than the level of the tank and somewhere where it isn't going to create a reservoir of fumes, then I'll feel much better about it and all will be well. So I have to wait until tomorrow till my new rib nuts come in, and then we can keep making progress on this project. Had this nifty rib nut kit arrive and had a bit of a calamity to deal with when I first pulled it out of the box. So if you guys have ever ordered things from Amazon, they come in these nifty plastic boxes rather, and they're really nice, and the dividers are really good when the dividers stay in place. So from the bottom, we have M5, M4, and M3 rib nuts, and they all kind of, look relatively the same. A rib nut is kind of a rib nut. There's not very many ways to church it up, but they're nice when they are divided. But when the dividers come undone and you have a mix match of all different size rib nuts, it'll kind of make your eyes bug out of your head a little bit. And if you're anything like me, that's a problem that needs to be solved right now. So went ahead and I took the time to reorganize everything, and now this rib nut kit allowed me to put the rest of the rib nuts in place for our new access panel, and it fastens down perfectly, and all is well, and all is working out great there. So what we need to do now is, now that I know that all this fastens down correctly, we need to remove this, paint it, and while it's drying, I can go ahead and build the new fuel vent line that will run somewhere on the inside of the car, out of the way, and in a good location. So let me go ahead, pull that cover back off. I can get I guess I'm going to use a stamping punch to put an F on it, so I know that's the front side of this cover, and then I can clean it up, put some paint on it, and while that's drying, I can focus on that vent line. access panel is completed. The fuel vent ran, it's connected. You guys probably can't see it here, but up in there it is connected to the rollover valve. And I went ahead and connected, or I ran a line from that rollover valve looping down and around, and you guys saw me put a little like a vacuum cap and a little barb fitting into the number 8 line a little while ago, and that runs up somewhere behind the bumper, and I'll end up having to loosen the 3 fasteners that are on my bumper skin support to go ahead and figure out a way to actually tie it down once I have a filter in my hands, as I want to put a little air filter on it so that way I can try to keep some sediment and things along those lines out of the breather line. Not that it matters that much, but it'll just make me feel better. So I can go ahead now and put this panel on here, and don't mind the ugly paint that I did back here. It's just temporary. This will end up getting carpeted or something along those lines, but I'm going to go ahead and put this panel on, not for good, as I'll still need to tighten down that breather line, or actually I guess I can do that now and then put this on for good, and all will be well. I didn't tighten the access panel down the entire way, as the steelet is still a little bit dry on this panel, or a little bit wet on this panel rather, and I don't want to mess up the coating. So I'll let it dry overnight, dry fully, and then I can come in tomorrow and actually install all of the interior panels that are on the ground here. So I have the 2 like inside rocker deals there, 2 that go on the side of where the rear seat was. I already have roughly put in place this rear panel right here, which I need to make sure that it fits with the battery box. Otherwise we'll have to do some moving around of things. But I'm going to get out of here for tonight and then come in tomorrow, and I can focus my efforts on those things, and we'll get the inside of this car looking a little bit more complete rather than the disaster that it is right now. Well, today we're going to take all of these interior panels and put them back in the Supra. So the first thing that I did here is I drilled out the 4 holes in the back of it that hold in this rear panel here, as I'm going to be putting rib nuts in as opposed to the screws that it had before. So I already drilled the holes out, like I said, and I sprayed a little bit of steelet on there. As you can see, I just touched the wet steelet since I'm a smart person. And once that paint dries, I can go ahead, put the 4 rib nuts in, and then start putting the other panels in place. Once we get these put in, then there's only a couple other items that need to be done on the interior of this car until the inside is completed. So we'll focus on this today, and then we'll focus on the other things later. Well, the Supra's interior is all back together, and I had a couple of pieces that I ended up not using. Those are the little rocker panel trim deals that go along here. What I have evidently doesn't fit this car, and especially on the driver's side, where I put the hood release off the side of the cage, I don't think I have enough room to really fit it by here. So I took the carpet, I rolled it over the harnesses and just the wiring and whatever else was traveling along here, and that's good enough for now. As with the door bar and everything else, or door bars, since it's on both sides, you're not really going to be putting your foot there, so I'm not too concerned with the wiring getting messed up. But everything else is put in place, and I had to put a couple of zip ties on either side there just to hold everything in. But other than that, everything seems nice and sturdy. It's back in place, and it looks a little bit more like a car again. So I think we're going to end this video off there. And next thing I'll need to do is to work on the battery box, but I'm not going to do that right now, as I had to take a little notch out of the corner to get the lid to fit on, but I don't have the hardware to actually fasten the lid to it, so I'll have to come up with another solution for that, which I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of how to do it, but that'll be a whole nother can of worms to open up and to get into. And I have a couple other parts on the way for the interior of this thing that should be the last telemetry that I need for going down the road as close to a normal car as possible. But without droning on anymore and dragging this video out anymore, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, for watching all the things that go on with this car. We'll have more coming on the Mark II very shortly. I have a couple of cans, or a few cans rather, of clear coat coming. I did decide to clear coat the engine bay, and my buddy Dave will be coming out to give me a hand with that, as I've reached the limit of what I am comfortable doing with this car. We're doing with this paint work, and I needed to call professionals in. So Dave's going to give me a hand with that, and whenever those cans come in and whenever he has freedom in his schedule to make it out here, then we can knock that out. At that point, this engine bay will be 100% done, and this thing can start going back together as soon as I take parts over to powder coat. But without droning on anymore, thank you guys as always for tuning in. Thanks for your support, for your kind words, for everything that you guys do for me here. You keep me going. You make this still fun. You make me want to do this more. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys, and your support means the world to me. But with all that being said, that'll be the end of this one. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.